Today, we're diving into a situation every man has faced at some point. What to do when a woman ignores you. It might be a woman you're dating, a girl you've been talking to, or even your girlfriend. The silence can be confusing, frustrating, and it can play tricks on your confidence. But here's the truth. How you respond in that moment says more about you as a man than the fact that she ignored you in the first place. This video isn't just about handling her silence, it's about using it as a test of your mindset, your self-control, and your strength as a man. When a woman pulls back or gives you the cold shoulder, most men make one of two mistakes. They either chase harder, blowing up her phone, or they get emotional and lash out. Both of those reactions communicate weakness. And the reality is, women are naturally drawn to men who stay calm, collected, and unbothered when faced with challenges. That's what separates an average guy from an alpha man. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to handle these moments with confidence. You'll learn what actions to avoid, what mindset to adopt, and how to use her silence as an opportunity to prove, not to her, but to yourself, that you are not a man who crumbles when a woman withdraws attention. Understand this. When she ignores you, it's not the end of the world. It's not even necessarily a rejection. More often than not, it's a test of your patience, your discipline, and your ability to stay centered in your own life instead of begging for hers. This is where you get to demonstrate leadership over yourself. By the end of this video, you'll know how to respond in a way that keeps your power intact, strengthens your confidence, and shows her, without you saying a word, that you're a man she can't easily shake. 1. Why chasing her makes you look weak. The biggest mistake men make when a woman ignores them is immediately chasing after her. You notice she hasn't replied to your message, she left you on read, or she suddenly seems distant. And what do most guys do? They panic. They send another text, they call, they check her social media, they ask mutual friends what's going on. In that moment, you've already lost. Because here's the truth. When you chase her attention, you're telling her she's more valuable than you are. Think about it. An alpha man doesn't scramble when someone withdraws. He doesn't beg for validation. He knows his worth and expects others to meet him there. When you start chasing, you're teaching her that she has the power to control you simply by ignoring you. And the more desperate you look, the more unattractive you become. Women instinctively test men to see if they'll fold under pressure. If you react emotionally, you've already failed the test. Chasing is weakness disguised as persistence. A woman doesn't respect a man who can't hold himself together when faced with silence. If she can push you into desperation just by ignoring a text, how will you handle bigger challenges in life? That's how she thinks. Respect is built when you remain steady, not when you lose your composure. What you need to understand is this. Her ignoring you is not always rejection. Sometimes it's a test, sometimes it's her playing a game, sometimes it's just her being distracted. But whatever the reason, your job is not to chase. Your job is to keep moving, keep living, and keep showing through your actions that your life is bigger than her attention. When you stop chasing, you force her to rethink. She expected you to come running, and when you didn't, she begins questioning her own value in your eyes. That shift is powerful. Suddenly she's the one wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and why you're not blowing up her phone. The alpha response is always to step back, not chase. Remember this. The man who doesn't run after her is the man she respects. 2. Silence is louder than begging. When a woman ignores you, most men instinctively want to fix the silence by filling it with words, messages, or explanations. They beg for attention without even realizing it. But here's what separates powerful men from the rest. They understand that silence is not weakness, it's strength. In fact, silence often speaks louder than any words you could send her way. Think about it this way. If she ignores you, and you instantly respond with a flood of texts, what message are you sending? You're saying, "Your attention is my oxygen." That tells her you're desperate. But if you go silent in return, calm, composed, and unbothered, you're sending a completely different message. You're saying, "I don't need your validation to feel secure in myself." And that hits hard. Women are emotional creatures. They're deeply tuned in to how men react under pressure. When you stay silent, you're creating mystery. You're allowing her imagination to run wild. Is he busy? Is he losing interest? Does he have better options? That uncertainty works in your favor because curiosity is far more powerful than pity. If you beg, she pities you. If you stay silent, she wonders about you. Silence also shows discipline. It takes self-control to not respond when your ego feels bruised. But that's exactly why it's so effective. Most men can't handle the discomfort of being ignored. They crack under the pressure. By holding your silence, you separate yourself from the crowd. You become the man who doesn't react like everyone else, and that makes you stand out. Here's the key lesson. Silence isn't passive, it's active. It's a decision. It's a signal of self-respect. It shows that you value yourself enough not to chase after someone who isn't giving you the same energy. And when she sees that, she realizes you're not like the other guys who fall at her feet. What usually happens next is surprising. Your silence pulls her back. She'll reach out, test your mood, or try to grab your attention again. Why? Because your lack of reaction creates a void, and people naturally want to fill that void, especially women who are used to having men chase them. So the next time she ignores you, resist the urge to explain yourself or beg for her time. Instead, use silence as your weapon. It doesn't just protect your dignity, it flips the script. Suddenly, she's the one wondering, thinking, and chasing. And that's exactly the position you want to be in. 3. She wants to see if you'll break. When a woman ignores you, it's rarely random. Many times, it's deliberate. She's testing your patience, your control, and most importantly, your discipline. What she really wants to see is whether you'll stay composed or whether you'll break under the pressure of her silence. And here's where most men fail. They can't handle the discomfort, so they overreact. They send emotional messages, they double text, they demand answers. In her eyes, that's weakness on full display. Women are naturally wired to test men, not because they're cruel, but because they're searching for strength. They want to know if the man they're with can handle challenges without falling apart. Life will test her, the world will test her, and if you can't even pass her small test of silence, how can she trust you to lead when bigger problems come along? That's exactly how she thinks. This is where self-discipline comes in. Discipline means controlling your impulses, even when everything inside you wants to react. It's holding back when your ego is screaming to defend itself. It's choosing patience over panic, strategy over desperation. Discipline is what separates a man who leads from a man who chases. Ask yourself, who holds the power? The man who can't stop himself from sending 10 texts in a row, or the man who calmly goes about his day, focused on his goals, unaffected by her silence? The answer is obvious. Self-discipline is power, and women can feel it. When you don't break, you're showing her something most men can't. Stability. And stability is attractive because it represents security. If you can keep your cool when she ignores you, you're proving that you can handle pressure without losing yourself. That builds respect, and respect is the foundation of desire. Think of it like this. Every time you resist the urge to react, you strengthen your frame. You train yourself to stay in control of your emotions, which doesn't just benefit your relationships, it benefits every area of your life. Business, fitness, leadership, everything requires discipline. And this is your chance to sharpen it. So when she ignores you, instead of seeing it as rejection, see it as an opportunity to practice discipline. Use the silence to double down on your own mission, hit the gym, work on your craft, spend time with people who bring value to your life. That way, not only are you proving your discipline to her, you're proving it to yourself. Remember this. The man who stays composed under pressure will always command more respect than the one who breaks. And when she sees that she can't control you with silence, that's when she realizes she's dealing with a man who's truly in charge of himself. 4. Walking away raises your value. One of the hardest lessons men must learn is this. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to walk away. whether you're just dating a woman or you're in a committed relationship. Knowing when to step back is a skill that instantly raises your value. Let's talk about why this matters. When a woman ignores you, especially in a relationship, it's often because she's trying to shift the balance of power. Maybe she wants to see if she can control your emotions, or maybe she's trying to provoke a reaction to feel more secure about her influence over you. Either way, if you respond by chasing her, you've already confirmed her suspicion. You need her more than she needs you. That dynamic kills attraction. But when you walk away, calmly, without anger, without making a scene, you're sending a clear message. I will not allow myself to be disrespected or emotionally manipulated. That's a message every woman hears loud and clear. It tells her you have boundaries, you have standards, and you're not afraid to enforce them. For men in relationships, this is even more crucial. If your girlfriend or wife ignores you to gain leverage, and you immediately fold, she will lose respect for you over time. She may not even realize it consciously, but deep down, she'll start to see you as weaker. On the other hand, when you show that you're willing to step back, to give her space, or even to remove yourself from the situation entirely if she continues, you remind her that your presence in her life is earned, not guaranteed. Walking away doesn't mean abandoning her forever. It doesn't mean giving up on the relationship. What it means is that you respect yourself enough to not tolerate emotional games. It means you're willing to create distance until she comes back to you with the respect and attention you deserve. And trust me, most of the time she will. Women are drawn to men who demonstrate that kind of strength. Here's the key. Walking away isn't about punishing her, it's about protecting your frame. It's about keeping the balance of power healthy. When you show you're not afraid to lose her, you actually become harder to lose. Because now she realizes she can't take your presence for granted. Every man needs to internalize this lesson. Your value doesn't come from her attention. It comes from how you carry yourself, how you live your life, and how you enforce your boundaries. When you walk away instead of chasing, you don't just raise your value in her eyes, you raise it in your own. And once you believe you are a man of high value, others have no choice but to treat you that way. 5. Attention is your strongest weapon. If there's one thing men underestimate in relationships, it's the power of their attention. Most guys think money, looks, or status are what keep a woman interested. But in reality, the strongest currency you have is your attention. Where you place it, how you give it, and when you withhold it, all determine how she perceives your value. Let's be clear, women crave attention the way men crave respect. Your attention validates her. It reassures her, it fuels her confidence. But here's the controversial truth. When you give her too much attention, especially when she hasn't earned it, she begins to lose attraction. Why? Because anything that's too available automatically feels less valuable. Think about it. If gold was lying around on every street corner, it wouldn't be worth much, would it? The same principle applies to your attention. Take this real-life example. Imagine a guy who is constantly texting his girlfriend, checking in every hour, complimenting her non-stop, and making her the center of his universe. At first, she might appreciate the effort, but over time, she starts to feel smothered. She doesn't have to work for his attention. It's just handed to her on a silver platter. The result? She stops respecting it. Contrast that with another man who gives love and affection, but only when it's reciprocated. He has a busy life, goals and priorities outside the relationship. When he does give attention, it feels earned. That's the man she values more. Here's another example. In dating, some men chase women endlessly. They like every post, reply instantly to every message, and make themselves available at all times. The woman knows she doesn't have to do anything to keep his focus, so she stops investing. On the other hand, the man who withholds his attention when she ignores him instantly stands out. His silence forces her to think, why isn't he chasing me like the others? That curiosity pulls her back in. Now here's the controversial part. Not all attention should be positive. Sometimes the most powerful form of attention is none at all. Ignoring her games, refusing to engage in pointless arguments, or choosing to focus on your own mission instead of her moods, that sends a louder message than hours of sweet words ever could. It tells her you're in control, not her. In relationships, this becomes even more critical. If your partner knows she can disrespect you and you'll still shower her with attention, she will eventually take you for granted. But when you strategically give attention only when she's adding value, she learns to respect your presence. She learns that your attention is precious and she will work to keep it. Never forget this. Attention is power. And the man who knows how to use it wisely will always command more respect, desire, and influence than the one who gives it away freely. 6. Her ignoring you is a hidden advantage. Most men panic the moment a woman ignores them. They see it as rejection, as failure, or as proof they're not good enough. But here's what few men realize. Her ignoring you can actually be one of the biggest advantages you'll ever get. Why? Because it gives you leverage to flip the script, not just on her, but on yourself. Think about it. When she ignores you, she's handing you space. That space is powerful because it gives you time to recalibrate, to refocus, and to rebuild your frame as a man. Instead of wasting energy chasing her, you now have a chance to invest in yourself. Go to the gym, lock in on your goals, sharpen your appearance, expand your social circle. Suddenly, her silence becomes fuel for your growth. And here's the irony. When she sees you thriving without her attention, it triggers her curiosity. She starts wondering why you don't seem affected, and that alone can pull her back. Here's a real shift in perspective. Her ignoring you creates scarcity, and scarcity makes you more valuable. If you're always available, if you're always chasing, she knows exactly where you stand, at her feet. But when you don't react, when you don't crumble, you create uncertainty, and uncertainty is addictive. Women can't resist trying to solve the mystery of a man they can't fully control. Here's the attention-grabbing truth most won't admit. Being ignored is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's the very thing that gives you the upper hand. If she expected you to chase and you didn't, now she's left questioning her own importance in your life. If she wanted to test your emotions and you passed with calm silence, now she respects you more than before. Even in relationships, this principle applies. If your girlfriend or wife pulls away and you react with panic, she loses respect. But if you remain centered, continuing to lead your life with purpose, her distance eventually works in your favor. Why? Because she realizes she can't manipulate you with silence. You've shown her that your attention is earned, not demanded. The key is mindset. Don't see her ignoring you as a loss. See it as a gift. It's a chance to prove your strength, sharpen your discipline, and raise your value. Instead of worrying about what she's doing, focus on becoming the man she doesn't want to lose. That's the hidden advantage. Her silence gives you the opportunity to rise. So the next time a woman ignores you, don't see it as rejection. See it as an invitation to grow, to lead, and to turn the situation into one where you hold the real power. 7. The man who doesn't react always wins. In the game of attraction, the man who doesn't react is always the man who comes out on top. Why? Because not reacting is the ultimate show of strength. Every time a woman ignores you, she's waiting to see what you'll do. Will you chase? Will you beg? Will you get emotional? Or will you stay calm, collected, and in control? The men who win are always the ones who don't let their emotions run the show. Let me break it down. A woman ignores you and instantly most men fire off a text. Hey, are you mad? Did I do something wrong? That one message communicates neediness, insecurity, and weakness. Contrast that with the man who doesn't flinch. He notices the silence, he shrugs, and he keeps moving forward. That man is magnetic because he shows he doesn't place his self-worth in anyone else's hands. And here's where it gets viral. Women talk about these men. Ask any group of women, and they'll tell you the guys they remember. The guys they can't shake are the ones who didn't react when tested. The man who stayed silent. The man who kept living his life. The man who didn't fold. That's the guy they chase. The one who sticks in their mind long after everyone else has been forgotten. Now, here's the controversial part. Not reacting doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're too disciplined to let emotions control you. It means you value your peace over drama. And in today's world, where most men overexpose their feelings at the slightest trigger, being calm is the rarest, most attractive trait you can have. Think about athletes, CEOs, and leaders men admire. Do they lose control when someone ignores them? Number. They remain unshaken, focused on their mission. That's exactly how you need to carry yourself in dating and relationships. When you remain unmoved, you become unforgettable. This is why clips of men saying "don't react" go viral, because deep down every man knows it's true. Every man wants that level of control. And every woman knows the man she can't rattle is the man she can't resist. So here's the takeaway worth sharing with every guy you know. Reacting is weakness, control is power. The man who doesn't react always wins, not just with women, but in life. Screenshot it, save it, send it to a friend who needs to hear it, because the sooner men embrace this mindset, the sooner they stop losing themselves over a woman's silence and start winning by owning their frame. When a woman ignores you, it's not the end, it's a test. Every reaction you choose reveals the kind of man you are. Chase her and you lose respect. Stay disciplined, walk away when needed, control your attention, and suddenly the power shifts. Silence, self-control, and the ability to keep moving forward are what set you apart from every other man she's dealt with. Remember this: the man who doesn't break, the man who doesn't react, always wins. Carry yourself with strength, protect your frame, and let her see that you're a man she can't afford to lose.